I am speaking today with my friend Maestro Stanley Sperber, one of Israel's preeminent conductors. So, how would you say the choral scene in Israel has changed over the last 50 years? What's it like now?
Well, interestingly enough, the most significant advance in the choral music and the singing here is children's choirs. We now have a whole bunch of very, very almost professional type children's choirs. Unfortunately, there hasn't been a huge development in grown-up choirs for many reasons. First of all, unfortunately, in our school system, we do not have hardly any musical education going on. And with the budget cuts over the years, it's gotten less and less. And so when you don't have a student choir, and most of these kids did not sing in synagogue choirs either, the secret to all the success of the choirs in places like Germany and England is that these kids have been singing in choirs in schools and churches since they were children. And so the transition into singing into grown-up choirs was a natural one. Here we did not have that. And so many of the singers who would come to audition for these choirs did not even read music.
Hmm.
And so you had to build them from ground level, both with solfege lessons, with voice lessons. And even though the situation is better today, there are two or three professional choirs. The opera choir, Renat, unfortunately no longer exists. But there are two or three other ensembles that are professional. The Jerusalem Academy Chamber Choir became professional in the 70s. And unfortunately, it was for that reason that the choir is now defunct, because the Academy got into very serious financial problems, and they insisted that the choir become an amateur choir. You can't go backwards. And so I refused, and I resigned from the Academy in 2022 on mostly for that reason. Except for the couple of professional choirs, the non-professional choirs in Israel have not really advanced that much, unfortunately, and it's a shame. But it's for the reasons that I told you. There's no basis for young people here to sing. The young kids, the boys, for example, prefer to play football than to sing, and they see singing as something that the girls do. And if there were choirs in the schools, then they would have sung for sure, and they would have sought, in my opinion, to continue, because it's so much fun to sing. And so that's a basic problem in the Israeli education system,
As well as in America.
as well as America, I understand, and that's also a shocker for me.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, a real shame, because it's almost like in this age of ours of computers and cell phones that kids have stopped reading,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
or read so much less. And
Yeah.
I find that to be almost tragic, because those of us who read, it adds so much to your life, as let's say, as opposed to watching films, which is more passive. And when you read, your mind is working. And
Mhm.
so the fact that we don't have in the education system an emphasis on music, or enough on reading, or in general on culture. I mean, I can't believe that the young people that I speak with, most of them don't know who Bach was. And for me, that's an unbelievable loss for them. But I mean, for me, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
For example, in youth concerts that we were doing in Haifa, I was asked not to do any music that was more than 4 minutes long,
Hmm.
because that was the attention span of these
Attention span.
kids,
Yeah.
the length of an MTV song.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Ah, what else? Tennis. You want to tell us something about your experiences as a tennis umpire,
Yeah, sure.
and how that may be in some ways similar to your experience as a conductor? I know you talk about this in your book.
Yeah, well, it's similar in the fact that in most cases I was dealing with string instruments. Uh, but actually, to be serious about it, I played varsity tennis at Columbia College uh, from 59 till 63. So what happened was that when I came to Israel, I didn't even know there was tennis here, but I did bring my racket and I went to play at the Hebrew University. And believe it or not, I found out there was a league, and I joined the league and played. I actually played for the YMCA club in Jerusalem. And my dad, who was a born again Orthodox Jew, when he came to visit me in Israel, said to me, I sent you to Israel, and I come to a concert and you're singing, you're conducting the Haydn Mass, and then I come to see a tennis match and you're playing for the Young Men's Christian Association. What did I send you to Israel for? And I said, Dad, don't worry about it, okay? So anyway, I was playing league tennis, and then tennis began to have a renaissance in Israel with players such as Shlomo Dickstein and Amos Mansdorf and Gilad Bloom and Shachar Perkis, all in the top 100 of the world, which is amazing for a small country like Israel. And so we started to have tournaments, and we had to bring in international umpires, and it was costly. And so they sent a couple of us old timers in our 30s. That was in 1984, actually. I was already 42. They sent us to Roland Garros in Paris to take the course to become international umpires so that we could serve Israeli tennis as umpires. And so I became an international umpire in 85. And believe it or not, I'm still an international umpire in 2024, the oldest one in the world by far.
Stanley, anything you'd like to add that we haven't touched on?
I haven't mentioned the fact that I became head of the choral conducting department in Israel, and sorry, in the Jerusalem Academy, and I started to teach mostly choral conducting, but also orchestral conducting, and I have 32 students who are now working full time as professional conductors in Israel and all over the place, and I find that to be probably as satisfying as my conducting experiences. That I've managed to pass the baton, so to speak, over to the next generation. And actually, if you will permit me, I see you as one of those as well, and I'm so proud of the fact that the Boston Zamir has flourished over all these years because of you. And I'm not saying it because we're doing this interview together and because we're friends. I'm saying it because I have the greatest appreciation for your accomplishments in Boston, both musically and culturally throughout the city, and so that gives me tremendous satisfaction that you have done that in Boston, what I did in New York.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think you have left quite a legacy. Not that you're finished, but starting the Jewish choral movement in America, and then your teaching and concerts and your transformation of the choral scene in Israel. Fantastic.
Thank you, Josh.
So, Stanley, thank you so much for giving us your time and and sharing all of this wonderful information.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you, and again, I enjoy your lectures and your interviews. You're kind enough to send them to me, and keep up the great work that you're doing in Boston. It keeps you young and keeps you vital, and it gives me a tremendous amount of nachat to see what you're doing.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Josh.